program started a little behind schedule. We really apologize. And well, again, thank you for tuning in with us on your radio experience. You can count on Eagles 102.3. It's Eagles Outlook this morning, and we would be discussing the Mental Health Awareness Week 2023. Mental health, we're big on that. We are big on ensuring that we have a sense of understanding about what mental health is and how important it is to also, while we're taking care of our physical health, we're also taking care of our mental health. This morning, joining me in the conversation would be Dr. Abiola Bremo, who is a consultant psychiatrist, clinical director, Synapse Azalea Services. She's joining us in the conversation this morning. Thank you so much, Dr. Bremo, for joining in.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm excited to join you this morning.
I am glad you joined in. How's your week? It's Friday. We say thank God it's Friday, right?
Well, for some of us, we work around the clock, so
that's the thing.
But at least things are, on the low now, so we get some rest.
Interesting. Now, well, rest is also good for your mental health, isn't
Absolutely,
it?
yes.
Let's get into that conversation. You can be a part of the conversation when we open up the phone lines. Just give us numbers really close. You're going to need them at that time. 09073530044 and 09087668888. You can send SMS and WhatsApp messages to 09097054450. And if you're watching us live on YouTube and on Facebook, the numbers should be showing on your screen. So dial in and let's all enjoy this conversation this morning. Dr. Bremo, delving into the conversation.
Okay.
The theme for this year's Mental Health Awareness Week is anxiety. And somehow when people mention anxiety these days, it seems like, it's something that a lot of us don't understand.
Yeah.
When they say anxiety is a mental health disorder, a lot of people don't understand it because, it's normal to feel anxious sometimes, right?
Yes.
But then there's a degree to which you get anxious and it becomes a mental health issue.
Yes.
Help us understand that.
Okay, so a lot of experiences people have, let me put it this way, that mental illness, mental health is like a spectrum. And, there is that point where normal emotional responses tilt towards dysfunction or distress. At that point, it's becoming a mental illness. So a lot of times we just feel when we talk about mental illness is someone on the street stripping themselves, scavenging on the street and all of that. But that's not it. At any point in time where what you're going through is causing distress or is causing some dysfunction or some people out there are noticing some changes, then it is a disorder. So to anxiety, being anxious is a normal experience, when you're preparing for an exam, an interview or something, one tends to feel anxious. But there is that degree to which it becomes a dysfunction where it becomes overwhelming. You can't think clearly. You are fidgeting. You are, it's even beginning to affect your sleep. So, there is that degree to which it becomes a disorder. And it's very good that, anxiety is being put on the spotlight because at this point in our lives in Nigeria and in the world generally, we get exposed to a lot of anxiety-provoking situations. And once your body is not able to recoil to baseline, where you are calmer, you have moments of anxiety, then you calm down, and then your body is able to, just be in that equilibrium state. But there are times when you are exposed to that anxiety-provoking situation for way too long, that even when that thing is taken away, you just notice that you're unable to relax. So at that point, you just need to reach out and then ask for help from people who can offer that assistance to you. And I must say that mental illness is more common than we think. I mean, research has shown that 1 out of 4 people would have some form of mental illness at some point in their life. So if you go out now, once you just count 4 people around you, just know that
One person.
one person will have some form of mental disorder one time or the other in their life. So yeah, anxiety is very, very common. Amongst the most common presentations we see in the hospital is anxiety and depression, and I think it was very commendable that they decided to pay attention to anxiety so people can know better.
Now, speaking of anxiety and how it gets to a certain level that it becomes a disorder, the people who have panic attacks, but for some people it's mild, for others it's it's
Yes.
extreme, it's chronic. How do you tell when these things are getting out of hand? Is it the frequency with which you get anxious, or the degree of the anxiousness or the anxiety every time you're anxious?
Let me say it starts with distress.
Okay.
It might even just be that an individual is anxious but is not really obvious to others, but internally the person feels unsettled. That at that point the person needs to reach out, because sometimes it can increase in intensity such that others can now pick it. So essentially distress starts, and then dysfunction. So once an individual just feels that, oh, this is not me, I'm managing it, I'm trying to cope, nobody knows what I'm dealing with, but I'm struggling more than usual, then at that point the person needs to reach out.
Now, I'm sorry, I'm going to take you back a little. How do we understand what anxiety is for the ordinary person who doesn't know what anxiety is? What's the best way to describe anxiety?
Okay, so it's a situation where the person finds it difficult to relax. You just feel tensed, you feel apprehensive, there's that feeling of impending doom, there's fear, there's that feeling of feeling anxious. And then I must say that anxiety has different symptoms. You have motor symptoms, where we talk about the tremors of the hand, the person is restless and all of that. Then you have autonomic, sorry, I might just use some technical words, but I'll break it down. You have autonomic symptoms where there's frequency in going to the toilet, or there is sweating, things around that, nausea, things around that. And then there is the physical signs. Some also complain of there's a tension, they just feel some tension in the neck, they just feel that feel uncomfortable, or there's a clouding in their mind, there's no clarity of thoughts. A lot of times is not specific, but the classical symptoms are feeling anxious, fidgeting, sweating, especially in the palms and in the feet. That's feeling of impending doom, feeling like you're floating, you can't just relax, you just feel like you're holding your breath. So and that's is sustained for a time longer than usual, or there is nothing for you to be apprehensive about, but you just feel that fear. I would say the way you feel when you have like an exam you are not prepared for, or like a presentation you are going to stand in front of people, that feeling you have, if you have that for a sustained period of time when nothing is even provoking it, that is a classical example of anxiety. And then anxiety has various forms, like you mentioned. You talked about what was it now, panic disorder or panic attack. Panic attack is a one-off. When it becomes recurrent, it becomes a disorder, so we call that panic disorder.
Okay.
It's a type of anxiety. You have phobias, that's the type of anxiety. You have generalized anxiety disorder, that's the one I explained, that you cannot associate it to anything in particular. So anxiety is quite broad, I must say.
People take these things for granted, take them lightly and say, oh, I don't know, I just had this fear, this fear inside of
Yes.
me. But it happens from time to time. I just get this feeling of fear, like something bad is going to happen. I have
Yes,
premonitions
exactly.
of evil and
Yeah.
all those things. They come up. These things are things that we actually just talk about, carelessly and randomly. Meanwhile, these are actual disorders and
Yes.
that people should take seriously
Exactly.
and, you know, talk to experts about. Now, how many looking at the fact that, you know, there's mental awareness, mental health awareness, you know, growing in our society. This is something, I mean, some years back we wouldn't be sitting here talking about anxiety, you know, because it wasn't very popular.
Yes.
A lot of people had these things, and it was just things that could
Yeah.
they wouldn't even talk about because, you know. But now we're getting in these conversations, individuals, and everyone just talks about, oh, my mental health, my mental health. It's become like a cliche.
A cliche, yes.
You know, people just, oh, I beg, don't stress me and my mental health. You know, and I like that level of awareness. But then taking action is another thing.
Yes.
So some people actually know that this may be a mental health disorder, a mental health issue that needs to be addressed, but making that move to seeing someone, we still have a problem when we say people talk to, permit me to use the word shrinks now, when we see people who, oh, you're seeing a psychologist, you must be, you know. That for that scenario kind of makes people shy and detached. If it's, would I say, a feeling of, you know, discrimination against
Yes.
anyone who says, "Oh, I'm talking to a therapist, I'm seeing a therapist," or you know, those things, you know, get us icked, and we sometimes we think, this one not the loser.
Yes, absolutely.
What do we do to address that? Because we need to move from this level. There's a bit of awareness now. We need to move to the level where people can take action when, you know, they feel any of these things.
I think it still starts or it hinges largely on awareness, because, you know, I would say the awareness that we enjoy now, it was one of the things that happened during COVID. You know, I like to look at things from a positive perspective, especially when you don't have control over those things. So one of the positives we got from the COVID era was the drive. I think some, like a year before anyway, because that was a time where there was a lot of suicide. So, and then it spilled over into COVID and all of that. I would say education, awareness, publicity, advocacy, and, you know, some of the reasons why people just look down on mental health and mental illness is that there's still that strong premonition that those who have mental illness don't get better, and that's not true. So when I see someone come to see me in clinic, I commend the person that you took a bold step, defying all, you know, ideas out there to seek help. And I would want you, as you get better, talk to people out there that people who have mental illness at some point, you know, they do well. And then also understanding that things like sleep disorders, eating disorders, you know, there's a lot of struggles people are having out there that they don't even understand that it's within the confines of mental illness. And it must start from, you know, up there, the government pumping money into mental health, families understanding that if you see anything that looks like some deviation from normal, seek help early. We preach it in schools, we preach it in religious organizations. You know, we just put it in people's face that as you go to the hospital to run tests and see doctor for physical illnesses, you must pay attention to your mental health. I mean, your brain is not separate from the body. So mental health is as important as your physical health. And permit me to just deviate a bit, that in the definition of health by the WHO, it says a state of well-being, I mean complete state of well-being with regards to the physical, social and mental health. So there's no health without mental health. So we cannot continue the ostrich scenario where you bury your head in the sand and then just feel that nobody can see you. It's important for us to pay attention to this, and I appreciate what Eagles FM is doing to, you know, give voice to mental health, educating people, because, you know, people listen to the media, and as they hear this thing more, it just begins to make them loosen up and then understand that, okay, it's not as bad as we feel, or it's something we must embrace. We've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. So awareness, education, advocacy. I would say is the first step to doing this.
This is a good conversation that we're having, and but then speaking of taking action, another thing that impedes that, or holds people back from taking action, is when they consider the cost. So I was speaking to someone a few weeks ago, and she said, me, go to therapist, me book that 5,000 naira for 1 hour. Who am I? I mean, how many hours do I have to book, to see, till I get well? How much would I have to spend? Do I have that kind of money? And for her, it's, oh man, if this is how it's going to be for me to get well, I may never get well. So I better just even begin to try to find ways to cope with this, because I don't have the money.
Yeah.
So what can we do to, manage costs when it comes to, finding care for mental health, mental illnesses?
Okay, so I understand that concern, and one major problem is because we don't really have so much remuneration from government with regards to mental health. I mean, health as a whole has a very limited budget, and then trust me, mental health gets like 0.0, just keep adding the zeros. And that's one of the reasons why mental health service appears to be so expensive. But I know that there are organizations that also help in, making it easy that everyone should have an access to health. There are hospitals that they can still get it affordable. One of the things we do in our organization is that we offer free consultation, and then once we can see that this person cannot afford what we our cost, we find a way to just make it very discounted, because my medical director is always like, don't discriminate anybody. Anyone that comes to you should be able to get the help that they need, one way or the other. So I understand that's a big concern, and we have a lot of CSOs and NGOs that go out to ensure that government is also invested in things like this. There are NGOs that I know that also help to, in their own capacity, take care of bills for people who need it. So I wouldn't say that should discourage anyone, because trust me, if someone has a broken leg, you will look for that money. Then how much more a broken mind, because I tell people, you have a broken leg, you can still write check, you still have awareness of what is happening, you can still, you're still productive. But with mental health, if you have a mental breakdown, what can you do? Your other members are fine, your hands, everything is fine, but your mental health is compromised. You can't be productive. So whichever way, you will look for the money if you had a fracture. So I believe people can look for the money for mental health as well. But I mean, we also make exceptions with making sure that we can serve whoever comes, even if they don't have enough money.
Great thoughts. Let's look at back to the issue of anxiety and how Nigerians in particular are exposed to or predisposed to a lot of things that can trigger anxiety. The economy, insecurity,
yeah.
all of these things can trigger a lot of anxiety. There was a time, I think last year, when I'm just getting to realize that was a certain level of anxiety, because at the time, before I go to bed, I was thinking, what if tonight is the night that people break into my estate and kidnap people? Because I was hearing about abductions in estates and the FCT and all, and so I'm looking at my neighborhood. I was telling someone some time ago, because I had faced some level of insecurity in the Northeast. Once I walk into any place, the first thing I'm looking at is the exit points, like the possible exit points.
It's called hypervigilance.
So these are things that can easily trigger anxiety.
Yes.
How can Nigerians be able to manage this? Finding themselves as citizens, living here and having to deal with this on a daily basis.
Like you rightly said, it's multifaceted. I mean, as an individual, there is so much you can do about insecurity. You have a lot going on, really. But I would say that we shouldn't lose the what we used to have in times back, something like a community connectedness. Then when we didn't have so much civilization and modernization, where they'll say a child is brought up by the community. Everybody rally around someone. Oh, you are giving birth. Everybody rally around you to support you. That sense of
communal
exactly. I mean, if I ask you, when was the last time you called maybe a sibling? You're just preoccupied with work. You also are dealing with your stuff, and then all of us are just living like islands. So as an individual, I would say let's go back to that connectedness. That connectedness is like a social support that helps give that to an extent. It gives that security, it gives that sense of, oh, I have people who care about me. And then you can also easily tell someone what your struggle is, and then that allays some anxiety. That, I feel, is how much an individual can do, because there are so many things you can't control. You can't control unemployment, or there is no light, or the weather is hot. There's so much you cannot do. So I would say that community connectedness would be one major factor that would help relieve a lot of anxiety people are going through.
Interesting. Well, the conversation continues here. We're going to be talking some more about mental health awareness, the Mental Health Awareness Week, and everything. A lot of things that you need to. I don't think we cannot cover everything, but we're going to cover, some of the things that you need to know about, mental health, illnesses, and how we can manage them, considering the peculiarity of our community or our nation today. Keep it with us. The conversation continues. My guest is still here. My guest is Dr. Abiola Buremo, who is a consultant psychiatrist and also clinical director, Synapse Azalea Services. She's joining us in the conversation this morning. Keep it with us.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Are you looking for an internet service that will make surfing on the internet an enjoyable one? Do you want a super fast connection to the internet? Please listen. Look no further, as Eagles Internet Services is here for you, an effective internet service provider with 99% proven reliability for residential and office services. We provide unlimited internet bandwidth services of different bundles tailored to meet your desires and taste. It is reliable, affordable, with a wide coverage. You can locate them at Plot 1719 Cadastral Zone B, Kaura District, or you can call 081 33121423 or 09065765969. Eagles Internet Service. Stay connected to everything you love.
Hello, dear. Do you wish to turn things around for yourself and your family financially this year? That opportunity is finally here. You can become a distributor, a service center, a franchise of global manufacturing company of over 2,000 physical products ranging from electronics, sanitary, laundries, health and wellness, wipes and diapers, perfumes, phone accessories, children care, household products, and many more. That is not all. Aside making huge profit from sales, you can also earn daily in 6 other ways. Sounds great, right? That is not even all. You can also qualify for an all-expense paid trips abroad to enjoy yourself and network with international partners. This is only possible with Farmall, where your return on investment is huge. What are you waiting for? Take advantage of this amazing opportunity and live your dream life. Farmall is here to make investment easier for you. We gladly invite you to join us this Saturday at the Abuja Business Summit. Let's guide you as we journey together to greatness. Date this Saturday. Venue Houghton Suites, Gariki, Abuja. Time 12 noon. For seat reservation, please text your name to 08026600888. Text your name to 08026600888. 600888.
Hello, we have Miss Martha Teye Passon, the coordinating agent for SKA Benin University, Cotonou. You're welcome to the studios.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, can you tell us about SKA?
Please listen to this announcement. A Juice Cuisine, a 24-hour service restaurant in the heart and city of Abuja, celebrates her one-year anniversary this Friday, 19th of May, 2023, at venue Discovery Mall at Tokumbo Ademola Crescent, Wuse2. Time 6 p.m. till Mama calls. It's been 1 year of dishing a Juice Cuisine's special jollof rice, Arabian rice, jambalaya rice, seafood fried rice, pasta, afang soup, vegetable soup, fisherman soup, barbecue, buffalo chicken wings, shawarma, pastries, grilled chicken, and other savory African and continental meals to her esteemed customers. And this Friday, it's going to be a cozy night with karaoke, lots of games, good food, music, and so much more. For more inquiries, please contact 080-5326-8650 or 080-9222-8650. Come, let's have a wonderful time and enjoy the taste of good food.
Battle is on. It's the Eagles FM Abuja Quiz Art Show for secondary schools.
D5. D5 is correct. Congratulations.
D6.
D6 is correct. Congratulations.
Every Saturday by 9 a.m. on Eagles 102.3 FM. You can watch the quiz competition live on YouTube and Facebook at Eagles FM Abuja. Is your school yet to enroll? Please call 0821-3309-8542. 0821-3309-8542. Eagles FM Quiz Out Show is proudly associated with Stella Maris College, Area 1, Abuja. Government Day Secondary School, Karo, Abuja. Stella Maris College, Life Camp, Abuja. Africa International College, Kaura District, Abuja. Peace El Shaddai Model Academy, Karo, Abuja. The Abuja Quiz Out Show, building future champions today.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
We're glad you stayed with us on your radio experience. You can count on it. It is Eagles Outlook this morning. It's Friday and we are discussing the Mental Health Awareness Week and anxiety at the center of the conversation this morning. My guest has been Dr. Abiola Buremo, consultant psychiatrist and clinical director, Synapse Azalea Services. So joining us in the conversation, and it's been an awesome one and a really, really interesting and an enlightening conversation this morning. If you have thoughts, comments, or contributions to make to this conversation, feel free to jump in with your 2 cents. 090-7353-0044 or 090-8766-8888. You may want to send us SMS and WhatsApp messages. Make that 2090-9705-4450. Now, don't forget, you can also leave us messages on our socials. If you're watching live on YouTube or on Facebook, leave us a thought or line there. We would be glad to read it. Now, back to the conversation, Dr. Buremo. Very, very, interesting conversation we've been having about the mental health, especially as it pertains to Nigeria and Nigerians. Another aspect that I would want us to talk about is the aspect of Nigerians being able to identify and not discriminate. Again, first of all, not discriminate against other Nigerians on account of their mental health, and how we as a nation handle people with mental health disorders. So you see that when it becomes really chronic, or I don't know if that's the right term, but when you see people severe people who have severe mental health issues that are maybe, that you see in the streets. We see them in the streets outside of this country, in exposed climes or other climes, advanced climes, as they say. You don't have these people roaming the streets. That for me is a great level of discrimination and a sign of abandonment, because we seem to abandon these people as if to say they're no longer human beings because they have an ailment, right? It's like saying someone has malaria and then everyone dissociates from them and leaves them to their fate, right? And that's what we do to people with severe mental health issues. How do we, handle these people better?
Okay, so I would say, let me take a cue from where I trained, somewhere, one of the states in Nigeria. The state organized like a pockets, like an endowment fund for welfare cases, one of which, when they see people on the streets, they allot some funds in caring for them. So usually what the government does is that they have an office designated for managing such funds. So once they see someone in that situation, they take the person to the psychiatric hospital in the state, and then payment for whatever treatment for that person is taken care of by the government. And then the hospital too at that time mandated some percentage of salary of individuals to be allocated to that purpose for people who cannot afford. So I mean, that was a communal effort until the person gets better, and then we can trace the family of the individual, because sometimes the mental illness can be as severe that the person walks away from the house and the relatives are actually looking for the individual but are not able to trace where the person is, or they have taken care of the person and they are tired and the person is out on the street. So until we realize that it is an illness that can happen to anyone, any one of us, any of our relatives, and then we take responsibility for that, maybe as a community, you just allot some funds that if we see anybody in this vicinity that is having this kind of situation on the streets, you can't trace where the person is coming from, we use that endowment fund to at least get some care for the person. But the truth is that individuals have their limitation. You would still need to plead with government to make room for something like that, so that if the person gets better or the person is not fully back to normal, they can be assigned to maybe like a vocational place where they can manage themselves and then continue with their life. But as individuals, I just told you what we did in that place, which was a beautiful arrangement. It wasn't completely 100%, but at least it helped some people. So as individuals, we shouldn't just pass people on the streets, and just, it's none of my business. I feel we should be able to call the police or call offices that are responsible for that I found this person on the street, and then that person is picked up and taken to the hospital.
Very well. Let's bring in callers now. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Henry.
Good morning. Welcome. Haruna.
Thank you. Good morning to your guest. Yeah, Haruna. Please, I think I have. I want to ask your guest a question.
Okay.
In respect to what she's discussing. There's a friend of mine. His sister, she misbehaves sometimes, and later on, she'll tell you that I'm okay, nothing is wrong with me, everything is fine. People are calling me, I'm having a mental problem, like that. But we were able to take her to the hospital, and they ran some tests on her. They said she's okay, all she needed is rest. And she was just undergoing some kind of depression. So I don't know if there is any way we can manage her before it gets out of her. And that is my question to your guest. Thank you very much.
Right. I don't know if you got his question.
Okay, yes, I got his question. Well, I would want to know if he actually went, if the sister was taken to a mental health physician, because sometimes if you go to a peripheral hospital, they run some tests, and then coincidentally they see maybe malaria parasite 2 plus, or run some other test, and then give that intervention, and the person is better. Many people will just say, okay, she just needed rest. But if the person was taken to a mental health physician, I mean, apart from medication, there is also the therapy, to find out, okay, what exactly are the stressors that is making the person have those breakdowns, and then help the person identify, okay, what are the therapy interventions, and then start instituting those therapy. It's not, I don't think a mental health physician or a mental health practitioner would just say go and rest. There are other interventions that would have been instituted. So my advice is that if it was in one-off and it has not reoccurred, fine. But if it has been recurrent, I would advise that she be taken to a mental health practitioner to do a proper, evaluation, and then advice on the intervention to be given.
Well, one of the first, the New Year gifts that the president gave the country is the Mental Health Act 2021, and for most, mental health practitioners, it came, as a source of happiness to see that we'd moved from the Lunacy Act to a more acceptable law that governs, the rights and protection of people with mental health, illnesses. At this point, would you say we've been able to maximize this law? It's a law, and yet we're still talking about how we handle the rights of people with severe mental illnesses and all. We seem not to have taken advantage of the law as much as we should, because by now we shouldn't be seeing such people littering the streets if we really want to protect their rights. But people would argue and say, I mean, every other right in the country has been, trampled upon over time. People's rights are infringed upon on a daily basis. So how do we get to that point where the laws are actually, implemented? It's not enough to just have the laws. Implementing the laws is another thing.
Yes, it was very commendable that the president finally signed it. It's been something that has been in the works for a long time, has had a lot of back and forth. But I must say that fortunately, I was a part of a small group of stakeholders last week that sat down to break down the act into piece by piece, take it down to implementation strategies. And I must say, the Ministry of Health is really doing a lot of work in creating that roadmap for implementation. Is in the works, actually. I'm aware of that, and I believe that with the energy that I saw last week, it's going to be implemented very soon. I mean, many people are not aware of what that document entails, and one of the things that group is trying to do is to break it down to a way that even the person on the street understand what it means. So implementation strategy is actually underway, and I believe that very soon we'll be able to see what that document entails, and we'll begin to see it being practiced as stipulated in the act, in the document.
Interesting. I'd love to see that. 09073530044 and 09087668888 are the numbers to call. You want to send me a message? Make that to 09097054450. We're discussing the Mental Health Awareness Week, and most of the things that you need to know about mental health illnesses in the country, especially how we're dealing with them as a people. You can join the conversation and share thoughts with us. Dr. Buramo, what would you want to see the awareness level for mental health in Nigeria get to, what would be your vision for, mental health in Nigeria?
Yeah, I want to see that I go to the market and I can have a conversation. I mean, the person who is attending to me is able to understand what mental health and what mental illness is, like differentiating what those two what those two are, and then able to understand that it is not everything mental illness that we claim to be a spiritual or is attack from village people and all of that. The person knows what is that spectrum I talked about, not just when the person has completely lost their mind, that is what is mental illness, and then be able to know where to go to when they have that problem. So I want that, I look forward to a time where that information is disseminated even to the lowest of classes, and then that people in schools get to have an understanding of what that's, mental, they do, what's it called?
Guidance and counseling.
No, not guidance and counseling. They do, well, then it was integrated science. I don't know. I think it's basic science now. There is so much, knowledge on the parts of the body and all of that, but you don't hear anything about mental health or mental illness. So I wish that we get to that point where the child in the primary school has some understanding of this. I mean, everyone should be able to have very good understanding of this, and then where to get help.
Very interesting. I like what you mentioned about, that maybe being added to the syllabus or curriculum in primary schools. Health education.
Yes, exactly.
You have physical health education and all that stuff. We could also, tie that to tie mental health in, and have children begin to understand what mental illnesses are and how they can get help. That's going to be really, really resourceful.
That would be very nice to see.
Very, very lovely to see. Before we go, speak to us about what the community of psychiatrists, psychologists, and everyone working in the mental health space are doing to ensure that this advocacy gets to the next level, and that Nigerians can find it easier to access mental health professionals.
So mental health professionals mental health practice is multidisciplinary. You have the psychiatrists, the clinical psychologists, psychiatric nurses. You have social welfare officers. You have occupational therapists, arts therapists. Quite a long list of professionals, and we also have these different professionals have their associations. And I know that there are a lot of programs that individual associations do. We also try to ensure we maximize international days allotted for mental health, which this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. There are days where you have Bipolar Day, Schizophrenia Day. So bodies, organizations, individuals try to organize programs on these days. Then there are also individuals that partner with religious organizations to give awareness, have talks. Then outreaches too. You have outreaches being done where people come, and then you have awareness. You also have some organizations like my organization doing the free consultation. You have open day therapy. There are programs out there that we keep doing year in, year out to just make sure that people understand that this topic is not something that we should gloss over. It's very important. At the beginning of this conversation, I mentioned awareness education, publicity, advocacy, and all of that. So that is what we are largely hinging on. We do that. We just make sure that we partner even with media bodies to put our voice out there so people can know what we do and then understand what this whole concept is all about.
Very well. Dr. Abiola Buremo, consultant psychiatrist, clinical director, Synapse Azalea Services. Thank you so much for talking with us this morning.
Pleasure.
I really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much.
Well, this is where we'll have to leave the conversation today. Join us again next time. As on Monday, we'll be talking more politics. I'm sure you're interested more in politics these days. But then let's talk about mental health. If there's anything to take away from this conversation this morning, not all mental health issues are village people. You need to speak to an expert, you need to speak to someone and get help. Okay, and as much as we see that general hospitals have mental health departments now, and that's a good thing. So you can walk into a government hospital and request to see a mental health expert. That's going to do you a lot of good. Sometimes you may not even have any of the symptoms you reeled out, but just go and check if you're going for medical checkup, it won't be complete until you check your mental health. So do well, go out and be one of those who would continue as well the advocacy and talk to people, let them know it's okay to speak to someone. Not just is it okay, do not also yourself discriminate against anyone with a mental health issue or mental health illness. It's a good place to leave the conversation this morning. Happy Friday, and thank God it's Friday rather. Go and have fun, and have fun in the most civil way. My name is Ihya Nacho Prince, His Radio Highness of Abuja. Keep it here.